Kody Brown has been promoting Robyn's Flagstaff McMansion for many years as the perfect oasis. He referred to it as his safe haven, his masterpiece within his polygamous marriage, and the sole functioning family unit among all the Browns. He expected blind allegiance to this dwelling, emphasizing the need for his kids to recognize Robyn's abode as the indisputable focal point of their existence. Yet beneath the immaculate landscaping and the selectively edited television footage lies an entirely different story. It is rumored that the walls of this grand home hid truths that TLC did not wish you to know. This palace was, apparently, no more than a dysfunctional mess, a living hell in disguise. And it was the youngest and most insightful child who ultimately peeled away the facade and revealed the truth hiding behind the walls. Welcome back to the W Daily. For those who seek the raw, unedited facts about their beloved reality TV series, don't forget to like our page and subscribe to our channel immediately. The reason why everything spiraled out of control requires looking at the dire need for control and validation in Kody. According to inside sources, Kody was panicked and trying his best to restore his image as people started turning their back on him in droves. He was desperate to have a storyline that would serve him right and prove to him and everyone else that he is still a great success as a dad. For this purpose, he decided to have his baby daughter, who was born out of his marriage to Christine, come visit Robyn at her place for an on-camera weekend getaway. It was supposed to be a family gathering, but according to reports, it was a carefully crafted strategy on Kody's part that was aimed at proving to the audience that he was doing just fine in his monogamous relationship with Robyn. Kody was hoping to get all of this recorded through the cameras so as to portray the perfect picture of a happy and harmonious family. However, this visit was not intended to make Truly feel welcome. Many theories have been presented regarding the visit of Kody to his youngest daughter, stating that he was preparing a psychological trap to place his daughter in a double-bind situation. On one side, if Truly smiled, played along, and behaved well to prove that everything is all right with her, then it would be a win-win situation for him. He could show the world that his daughter feels comfortable and safe in their home. However, if there was even a sign of discomfort and dissatisfaction in her behavior, Kody would use this opportunity to blame her for being ungrateful and brainwashed by Christine. This was a lose-lose situation for a little girl. She either had to support their father and sister in living this way or act as the guilty party and become a victim of his parental failures. However, Kody was entirely ignorant of this fact. The only thing he cared about was what would happen in front of the cameras. But Kody did not know that this time the truth was too big to hide from the camera. It had become clear through all the rumors spread on the internet regarding the actual living conditions in this Flagstaff home that Robyn's shopping habit must have gone way beyond the acceptable. Viewers had been able to spot the odd things going on in the background in just a few of the interior shots that TLC dared to show. Boxes, boxes, and more boxes, cluttering up the whole place along with countless figurines, had been slowly killing the huge space inside this supposedly beautiful home of theirs. The rumor is that their luxurious home has been turned into an awful mess consisting of QVC boxes and unused goods. Robyn's trip this weekend was extremely important to her, as it could mean the destruction of her well-designed facade in front of her daughter. There could not have been any worse thing than revealing the messy state of their lives on national television, which would certainly ruin the family's image forevermore. There was too much pressure in the build-up to this visit. Everything was going to be fine in Kody's estimation. He felt that all would fall in line once he used his authority to get the job done. The fact is, he had grossly underestimated the insight of his daughter and her complete inability to act as if everything was all right. Tension in the Flagstaff air was very thick when the time for this visit arrived. Cameras were ready. The game that Kody was about to play was all set. And Robyn was there to greet her stepdaughter into this supposedly safe environment. This is where things took a very unexpected turn, completely changing the dynamics of the entire household forever. The very instant the car door shut behind her in Robyn's driveway, it seemed the situation went from uncomfortable to truly toxic. From insider accounts surrounding the filming process, Truly's hesitation apparently extended further to outright freezing up on the spot. With the cameras rolling, documenting a moment meant to portray happiness and a warm reunion, reports indicate the little girl allegedly could not even bring herself to enter the massive Flagstaff property. She was supposedly visibly distraught, her entire demeanor indicating that she did not want to be where she was at all. It is said that the child finally cried, explaining to production members and her own father that she felt both physically and emotionally unsafe inside the property. Of course, this is no case of a stubborn child or brainwashing by one parent or another. It was clearly an instinctual response to an environment that had simply become too much for her to bear. When we speak of feeling unsafe, we typically refer to danger coming from a person. In this instance, however, reports claim that it was the actual house that posed the danger. In reality, however, there was a lot of difference between the idyllic family life shown and the one that actually existed behind those closed doors. For decades, people have been studying all of their blurred backgrounds and glimpses of hallways, trying to understand what was really happening there, and the result is truly terrifying. According to rumors, the home of Robyn and Kody was not messy in the common understanding of this term. Rather, it was a real labyrinth of misguided consumerism, filled with endless amounts of products and packaging. Indeed, some say that every empty spot of floor space was taken up by piles upon piles of QVC shipping boxes, fancy but highly expensive figurines, and heaps of junk that has never been unpacked since it came home. Imagine how it feels to walk into someone else's home to find nothing except for a huge warehouse of things. Seems that the accumulation of garbage has already reached such a point that the person almost suffocates with it. To Truly, who grew up under entirely different conditions, it probably felt like a trap. The even more shocking thing, however, is Kody's response to his daughter's terror. Rather than recognizing a frightened kid, Kody allegedly recognized a threat to his own ego. The theory goes that Kody was so far gone into his delusions that he could not tell the difference between having a normal family life at home and simply having an expensive pile of stuff there. In Kody's twisted world, filling a huge, luxurious mansion with expensive objects was the mark of a successful dad. All along, he has been deriding his daughter's efforts at being efficient housekeepers and criticizing the way they raise their kids because of their relatively modest houses. Purchase of items which are not really needed and useful was compared to making the house full of love, without considering the mental effects that come with living in such a disorganized and chaotic home. The boxes were seen as an evidence of their wealth and also Robyn's good taste, but Truly was pointing to something obvious, and instead of comforting her, Kody only got angry. It is said that the situation came to a head when Kody knew that his strategy to impress others through a media event was not working. He supposedly flew off the handle and shouted at the people from the production team, blaming Christine for poisoning the mind of his daughter, adding that Truly had been taught how to hate the nice items that Robyn owned. It was at this point that all masks were finally off. The entire internet community had seen enough of this and was utterly horrified by everything that happened. People started digging up screenshots from the reality TV show, highlighting the amount of rubbish piling up in the house and saying how the place was literally hazardous. Showed that Kody did not understand that even an abundance of fancy dolls cannot fill the void left by feeling safe and secure. He was so concerned about protecting the reputation of his favorite wife that he made his own daughter go through the same hell to uphold the illusion. Irony in this situation would be hard to underestimate, as Kody spent several years talking about the importance of building a family culture and having a special place in which people could feel completely safe. However, his own behavior and blind adoration of Robyn had led him to create a place that none of his children were comfortable staying at. As some sources suggest, the Flagstaff McMansion became nothing more than a prison in which there was too much clutter, and the weight of unexpressed shopping obsession could be felt everywhere. The harder Kody fought for this story of the perfect house, the more it was becoming apparent that this story was nothing but an illusion. Truly wasn't just upset about all the chaos in the house. She was upset at her father's hypocrisy since he chose things over people. However, the effects of this visit would not end there, and everything that followed would make sure that the Browns would never be the same family anymore. As it became clearer to the family what the real situation was like, the isolation that surrounded Kody and Robyn grew stronger. Didn't just stop at Truly. The other, older siblings were reported to have been witnessing all of this from afar, scared of what was going on in that house. The illusion of the safe haven was falling apart, with Kody's rage and Robyn's silence as the only glue keeping them standing. Each box piled up in the hallway was yet another bridge that Kody had burned away with the rest of the family. Even as Kody insisted on blaming anyone else for his issues, the answer lied in plain sight, covered by an abundance of unopened boxes and empty promises. But this was not all that was going to happen. This would lead to a single man left behind in the perfect house, as if abandoned in a haunted mansion. Tune in next episode where the last act will be written and will include a boundary line set by the family members that Kody did not expect and the legal action that will put an end to the whole illusion. True's denial of staying overnight did not go unnoticed. It was no longer just a brief summer storm, it was the hard boundary line which changed everything for the better. According to the reports, True's decision was the final domino piece in the fall of the old regime in Brown's family. The Flagstaff McMansion was finally exposed for what it really was, a messy prison full of fears. It appears that after all the siblings knew the true conditions inside the home, the invitations were not even accepted anymore. Turns out that instead of being the center of family life, the house has turned into isolation grounds. None of the other kids whose parents previously got married wanted to visit because they found the atmosphere too tense, too closed up, and honestly, too untidy to handle. Kody and Robyn were alone with all of their possessions in a huge house. The mental burden carried by such isolation cannot be underestimated. According to exclusive theories, the dream of a perfect wife that Robyn was trying to keep alive is finally over. The fans claim that the harder Kody was trying to justify everything going on in the house, the less realistic and rational his arguments sounded. His attempt to protect both his wife's dignity and her shopping addiction has distracted him from what truly mattered, taking care of his children. It is an irony of gargantuan proportions that the very patriarch who spent years hurling insults against the housekeeping and parenting abilities of his other wives was now in charge of a home which his children considered too dangerous for him to be left alone in. This was not just a disaster for personal life, but also an embarrassment of epic proportions that had become the talk of the town. However, what really proved to be a game-changer was when it seems that Truly took matters into her own hands and decided to do something about it to preserve her own peace of mind. According to sources within the circle, it appears that Truly actually went ahead and filed a petition to ensure that all future meetings were held only in strictly public venues. It was a devastating blow to Kody's ability to impose his family model on her. By requesting neutral territory, Truly is indirectly stating that her father's house is no longer her own. She sets a precedent by establishing that all the financial success that Kody takes pride in means absolutely nothing when it comes to her emotional health. As time passes, Kody and Robyn are said to be in total denial about the situation. Whispers have it that they still place the blame on everything else outside their household, even the internet and Christine in particular, for the separation, never once acknowledging the towering pile of boxes in their hallway as a possible cause for the division. They are buried, quite literally and metaphorically, in their own debris. The McMansion in Flagstaff is testament to what occurs when people put things above others. The place of sanctuary that Kody once cherished became his mausoleum to the old-fashioned family unit. It is the tragic conclusion to an idea of polygamy which shows how one cannot possibly maintain a functional family on the premise of lies and shopping bags. However, the most courageous move that Truly made at the end of the movie was probably the most beneficial step for the family, as it proved once again that setting certain boundaries is inevitable despite the pain it may cause, especially if one cannot feel safe at their own home. While Kody and Robyn struggle through the mess that surrounds them, the world is asking whether they would be able to recognize what was lost to them in the quest for treasures. Which side do you take? Is it truly justified that Truly decided to put her foot down, or is Kody right to feel betrayed? Maybe the answers lie under some QVC box in the Flagstaff house? Thank you for watching TLC News. If you liked this investigation of the real story behind the Browns, please like the video and tell us what you think in the comments section. We love to hear your ideas. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any videos that the cameras don't catch.